So my name is Steve Stanfield. I've been attending church here for many years. And for myself, I was raised Catholic. I was born into a Catholic family, and we went to Catholic church, and it was just something we did, but there was no real connection. We didn't do anything more than just attend the church, and then we would go home, and there was nothing in the middle of the week. There was no real connections. It was just something we did as a family. But as I got older, I kind of found myself, kind of distancing myself from that tradition. My parents divorced when I was about 18 years old, and I quickly had to become an adult. My parents both moved out of our ranch home, and I was kind of on my own at 18, and I had to quickly learn how to grow up, and church was not a priority for me. And when I got into my profession, I've been in law enforcement now for almost 25 years. When I was young, I always had trust issues. I dealt mostly in child abuse crimes. I spent many years doing child abuse and homicide cases, and I found myself being untrusting of people and judgmental kind of from the get-go, just because of the things that I would experience during work. And I realized that there's a lot of good people in the world, and it takes a strong person to understand that you have to give people a chance. But my wife has been probably the biggest support in helping me understand. She's a very relational person where I traditionally am not. I was always skeptical of what might be hidden in the shadows, and I never wanted to have to mix my personal life with my work life inadvertently by making the wrong friends or trusting too soon. And often I spent my time not telling people what I did for a living because I was always worried about how, number one, I would be judged. But over the years, this church has kind of taught me that I can let my guard down. I don't have to be a stone hard rock policeman all the time. I can let my guard down and be relational with people. And it's always been a blessing to me that after all these years of working in the profession I have, my closest friends are not work friends. I have friends at work, but my closest friends are people that either attend church here or are in church together, because it's an opportunity for me not to talk about work, but an opportunity to talk about things that we do outside of our normal profession, which is totally different than the way I was, I would say, 15 years ago. Probably one of the most spiritual moments I had, we used to attend Hume Lake. Years ago, they used to offer a husband's wives, a spouse opportunity for law enforcement families. And Aaron and I attended the weekend conference, and the guest speaker was the deputy chief from Los Angeles, and there was a moment at the end where he had asked us if anybody wanted to kind of rededicate themselves to Christ. And I'm in a room full of officers, some supervisors in the room. In fact, my supervisor was in the room when we were there. And it's not something that people in my profession outwardly do often, is make themselves vulnerable to say that I'm willing to sacrifice myself for Jesus. And that opportunity came, and in the room I remember being the only one who stood up. Even though I had been baptized, I've never known a time where I did not believe. I've never known a time where I didn't believe that Jesus was my Savior and that I should be in church, even when I wasn't in church. But it was kind of that moment where I understood what it meant. And it was a very powerful moment for me, and I was happy that my wife was there with me. And it brought me to a new understanding all those years ago that it's okay. It's okay when people make mistakes. And one of the takeaways, my verse that I like to think about when I talk about this, I'll have to pull it up here, is Colossians 3:13, that says, "Make allowances for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others." And for me, that's always very powerful, because I can have an opportunity to understand that there's a lot of good people in this world that do make mistakes. And as an officer, I have an opportunity to be there for people, to understand that when they ask for forgiveness, I can guide them in the right direction. And it's hard sometimes to be a strong Christian man and work in a profession where we deal with nothing but the ugly of society all the time. And people do make mistakes, and if people can ask for forgiveness just like I can ask for forgiveness, then they too can be forgiven for those things that they do.